Welcome everyone to the exciting world of multifamily meetup, where we hosted by Excite Capital. And hosting you today is yours truly. I am Dr. Julius Oni. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Excite Capital, where we collaborate with our community of investors to invest in cash flowing apartment buildings or apartment communities. Over the last 3.5 years, Excite Capital has collaborated with our investors to buy $168 million worth of assets. And we have truly enjoyed the journey of achieving this feat. And we truly have only been able to do it because of the power of community. And part of that community is this meetup. Co-hosting with me today is the entire Excite Capital team. And in the interest of time, I will not necessarily go through everyone's names, but my co-founders, Mr. Leslie Awesome and Mr. Tenny Tolofari, co-hosting today, and they will be also chiming in throughout. And certainly, if you stick around towards the end, you will get to meet the other members, and everybody well represented, like Macy, Kayla, Miles, Jessica, Kevin Brown, and all everybody who was part of the Excite Capital team. But more importantly, I think it's important to go to what we all came here for today, and that is to listen to one of my favorite new arrivals to the real estate game, but who is quickly changing the game. And who I am very extremely proud of and so excited to hear from today. I always tell her every time I get a chance to interact with her that she's a force of nature. And even when I listen to her speak now, I still, I gain something from it. I feel the fire that is burning in her. And she's got an amazing future. She's already achieved so much already in her career as a doctor, but and she's blazing some trails in real estate also. But for the for records purposes, I will still go over a formal bio. Dr. Nkem Ezeamama is the visionary behind Pheenyx Capital Investment, an innovative real estate investment firm established just this year in 2023. Pheenyx Capital is dedicated to helping busy professionals, both in and out of the healthcare field, grow their wealth through passive investing in commercial multifamily real estate. Dr. Nkem is a board-certified emergency medicine doctor, practicing in Tennessee with over 7 years of experience. Dr. Nkem is also a real estate investor with a portfolio consisting of over 250 units as a limited partner. Recently, she marked a significant milestone, closing a first deal as general partner. Dr. Nkem is also keen on empowering other healthcare professionals to attain financial security. She set a goal to help over 1,000 of her peers to create passive income and generate and achieve generational wealth through real estate investing. In her advocacy work, Dr. Nkem focuses on mentoring young women, teaching them the value of leadership and business development. Our message is very clear. Women can and should take reins in business. Outside of a professional sphere, Dr. Nkem enjoys the tranquility of long-distance running and trail hiking, often in the delightful company of our rascal golden doodoo. Her personal pursuits mirror her professional ethos, which is always moving forward, always exploring new paths. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our meetup speaker today, Dr. Nkem Ezeamama. Can I get a little, applause? Awesome.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I will go ahead and share my screen, and then we will get going. It is coming.
I just had a quick question. Is this session recorded? Could we get a copy of the recordings at the end of it?
Yes.
It's recorded, yeah. And you will get a copy for sure.
Okay. So hi, everyone. Julius, thank you for the awesome introduction. My name is Nkem Ezeamama. And today I'll be talking to you. I'll be sharing my story, which is from burnout to breakthrough, an ER physician's journey to growth and rediscovered purpose. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to start with this, which is like my story has come full circle. So what a lot of you don't know is that my first ever meetup was the exciting world of multifamily investing. But no one really knew that because I created a pseudonym and I hid and I lurked around because I just wanted to see what these guys were all about. I wanted to kind of see if they were the real deal. But the first time I stayed, I listened. And then the second time every month I kept coming. And eventually one day, no one knew this, but I said that I would speak on the stage. And I told myself that, but in my mind, that was like maybe 3 or 4 years in the making. And so I was so honored when I got the email or the text or the call saying, hey, we see what you're doing, come speak to our platform, come talk to us. And so I just wanted to say thank you and say thank you to everyone who took the evening out of their time to just come and spend time and hear my story, but really thank you to Reignite Capital for being an inspiration, to me and for being an inspiration to everyone else. And then thank you for giving me this platform to share my story, and hopefully I could be an inspiration to others. My heart is at the end of this that like one person here will take action from what I say. I'll tell you a little bit more later about how intricate Reignite has been in my journey, but I just wanted to start off with that. So who am I? Today, I'm going to show up in my full self. I'm just going to tell you someone who is embracing imperfection. I'm imperfect. I'm unfinished, but I'm here today as a testament of the power of perseverance and determination and a pursuit for something more. And in today, I'm going to tell you how an ER doctor ends up founding Pheenyx. I'm going to tell you the tools that I cultivated in order for me to succeed. But before I tell you all of that, I'll just tell you a little bit about me. So my name is Nkem Ezeamama. I'm originally from Nigeria. I moved to the US for college. I went to University of Florida. I graduated George Washington University School of Medicine, and I trained at one of the finest EM programs in the country in Charlotte, North Carolina. I moved to Nashville, like Julia said, about 7 years ago, and I've been here. This is where like a lot of my growth has happened. I started as a physician and I've grown, and come next month, I'm going to start teaching residents. But this is the mantra that I stand on today, which is that I am a trailblazer and force for change. Through resilience, unity, and purpose, I'm transforming lives and creating a world of limitless possibilities for myself and for others. So this is just a little bit about all that fun stuff. This is a little bit about me. I love to hike, which was mentioned earlier. This first picture in blue is October of 2022, when I took a week off and I hiked one of the 7 wonders of the world, which is Machu Picchu. And this is the hardest thing I'd ever done, but just like solidified where I was going. I read books, I was wet, I was gross, but like I had 12-hour days and I was just doing it. I hiked Nevada, which is that red picture up top, that's Red Rocks. Even more than that, I love medicine. And every year I get to go back. I'm part of an organization. We get to go back to Nigeria, and like we get to really impact change in the healthcare field. And I get to be a part of that. I love running. I remember I started off, my first run was 10 steps, and then it was 5K, and then it was 10K, and then it was 10 miles, and then it was a half marathon. And before I knew it, I ran a full marathon. And my goal next year is to run an Ironman. But all of that is a little bit about me. The most important thing is my family. These are the people who have cheered me on, who have supported me. Like every goal that every goal that I've said, hey, this is something I'm doing, they're the people who have like supported me and championed me. And then most of you have seen my golden doodle at one Reignite meeting or the other, but today he's in his grave. So my story starts, this is an iPhone picture, an iPhone 2 or something, that's why it's really blurry, but this was graduation. And at this time, I was happy, I was excited. My family, they were cheering me on, like I was a success. And it felt like I was like at the pinnacle of like my life. Like this is what I was supposed to do. I was doing it. I was happy. I was happy. I thought I was happy. I was content. I had reached the top, like I said, but I felt like I wanted more. I got to be called Dr. Nkem, but that wasn't it. There was an ache, there was a longing, and I couldn't explain it. And now it all makes sense. What was I supposed to do? Like, there was a more that I wanted. There was a more that I felt like I was called to achieve. And that was my impact enough. These are the things that, although I was happy, these were the things that I was thinking about. And there's nothing wrong with where I am or where I was. Like, I was, by all rights, I was successful, but I just knew there was something more. So it wasn't long after work that I really started experiencing burnout. The workload at work was just heavy. I worked at a busy trauma center. It was high volume, unpredictable hours, and it got the best of me. Like, I was chronically exhausted. I was dealing with sick patients all the time. People were dying, and it just took a toll on like my emotional well-being and my psychological impact. I felt like there was lack of control. Like, I felt like I was a hamster in a cogwheel. You know, I just felt like we were doing the work, but we didn't have any control. There was no decision making. We didn't have any decision making capabilities. We were just told what to do. And even in all of that, there were interpersonal challenges, dealing with sick patients, dealing with difficult patients, dealing with hard families, dealing with other colleagues, because we deal with every single one in the hospital. But all of that was just kind of adding to like the challenges that I was facing. And then there was work-life imbalance. Like, if anyone knows the ER, we're open 24/7. So I missed out on life. I missed out on, I worked nights, weekends, holidays, and it just like strained a lot of my relationships. But then that wasn't all. There was tons of administrative tasks. You know, there was like documentation that we needed to do, non-clinical responsibilities, and it all just added. So one day, I'll never forget this day. I was talking to a colleague. We were celebrating her retirement, 40 years in the ER. And like, in talking to her, I knew that wasn't going to be my story. And that's when the spark was lit. Now, I can tell you all of this, but I can still also tell you that I was grateful for who I was. I was grateful for the journey and the path that I was on, because like I really, I was making a difference, and I was really grateful for that. So in 2022, they released a burnout report. It's the Medscape Physician Burnout Depression Report, and emergency medicine skyrocketed to the top. Now, you know what happened between 2020 and 2022 that caused this, but I was one of the 60% who was struggling with, like, you know, what am I doing here? What am I supposed to be doing? COVID-19. This was probably one of the hardest times for a lot of people, including us. We were frontline. We experienced increased stress. We experienced burnout. We saw death every single day. Emotional exhaustion was unimaginable. Tragic outcome after tragic outcome. Like, the psychological distress was nothing I could speak about. And I'll share two personal stories with you just to kind of see where I'm coming from. There was one day, and that day specifically, I took care of 4 out of all the patients I took care of, 4 of them died. And because family members were not allowed in the ER, we had to call every single one of them. And I remember by my 4th call that day, this lady let out a piercing scream. And it was just like, we just had to like take all of that and swallow all of that. Now, in addition to taking care of COVID-19 patients here, my family back home, my family were dying. In a span of 3 months, my mom, lost her dad, lost her younger brother, who had 5 like young kids, all to COVID-19. So like, I was running to danger, but the people that I loved the most, like, I could not take care of them. There was an overall lack of support. You know, like, we were rationing PPE, resources were so limited, and there were like very little opportunities for self-care. And this all just led to burnout, to just feeling like chronic exhaustion. And then you guys know, if you follow the news, a few weeks ago, a big healthcare private equity company filed bankruptcy. Well, I work for that company, and it solidified the need to create passive income and to build generational wealth, and not to rely on one employer. Like, I was going to champion financial freedom for myself, for others. I was going to champion, you know, what it means to be like an entrepreneur, and like to champion female causes. And it started with COVID, and this was just the icing on the cake. Like, this made me realize that I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. But then the question is, what was I supposed to be doing? And so remember that spark I told you? It was lit during COVID, and it was solidified with the bankruptcy. But it was a desire in me, like it was just this burning desire that I needed to continue to grow, that I was made for something more. There was a beauty in discovering what that was, because the more I learned about who I was, the more I wanted that change in other people. Like I was going to galvanize that change because I realized how important it was for me, and that's what I wanted to pass on to others. And I felt like for such a time as this, that's what I was called to do. And that I was like, I knew I was being prepared for something, but the question is, what was that? I knew that I was on a path to discovery. I knew that like I loved medicine, and medicine was great, but like I was being called to do something more. It wasn't just burnout, it was like a stirring in me. And I realized that like my reach was growing, and my reach was leaving the ER and spreading worldwide. And I was forging a new path. And I was like, what is that path? I realized that my reach was bigger than just Nashville, Tennessee. And I was really, really about to find out what that meant. I realized that I was created for more. And the more that I started to discover what that was, the more I realized that it all made sense. And that's how Pheenyx was born. Pheenyx was born out of a desire to like really, really want to impact the world. The original spelling of Pheenyx means rising from the ashes. It means from dead to life. It means from failure to success. And for me, it meant from stagnation to a growth and a redefined purpose. Like I was comfortable, I was okay, and then I wasn't. And that in creating Pheenyx, that was going to be my story. It was the route in which that I would share passive investing with professionals in and out of the healthcare field. And it was also like I would allow them to like reignite their own passion while building Pheenyx. It was the channel that in which I would like empower female entrepreneurs to like follow their dreams, to ignite their passion. And even more than that, for me, Pheenyx was like bringing my impact to Nigeria and beyond. But I couldn't talk about Pheenyx if I didn't talk about Excite Capital. My story wouldn't be my story if I didn't mention them. Remember how I told you that I had the spark, but like they were the fire. It was this chance encounter a year ago that kind of just like propelled me to really walk in my purpose, really walk in like who I was called to be. I was very skeptical about multifamily investing. I was very skeptical about alternative assets because like as clinicians, like in the medical field, like we're taught medicine and we know medicine really, really well, but like we don't know anything else. We just hand our money to financial advisors and invest in a 401k and a few stocks and we call it a day. And so this whole thing was very new to me, but I was interested. And the beauty with Excite Capital is that they held my hand every step of the way. Like I asked questions, I called, I emailed, I texted, I said, tell me everything. But the one thing that they taught me was an abundance mindset. They taught me that like, there's plenty to go around. There's beauty in partnership. Like it's not about competition. It was more about collaboration and like we could do more together. They taught me how to brand myself, that like I could put myself out there and I could create Pheenyx and I could build a community around what I was doing, and that like people wanted to hear what I had to say. They taught me how to underwrite like large multifamily apartments. But the most important thing I learned was mentorship. Like they really, really helped me build my foundation, and like who I am today is a testament of like what they taught me. So this is kind of where I wanted to really start, which is how did I get to where I am today? Like, how did I get to this breakthrough that I have I've come to encompass? Well, it started with ridding myself of limiting beliefs. Like I had a complete mindset shift. I worked diligently to get rid of the things that weren't serving me well. Now, nothing like my parents taught me well, you know, but they taught me the best that they knew. But in teaching me, they taught me their own culture, their own belief systems, their own environment. And not all of them was bad. Like I am who I am today because of them, and I'm very grateful. But when I realized that there were things that were not serving me well, I wanted to get rid of them. And in that, like I changed my thought life, I changed my self-talk. Like I started realizing that like I can do it. I became my go-to. Like I can do it. I can do hard things. Like I am capable of doing all the things that I need to do. And that's when the mindset shift happened. Like I started pursuing growth. I wanted to be the best version of myself. But in order to succeed, I knew that I had to cloak myself with determination, perseverance, drive, resilience. The things that I did to succeed in medicine, those were the things that I knew now were even more important than ever. Like I embraced challenges, and I conditioned myself to like no longer shy away from risk. Like I was like, well, I'm doing it, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm moving. And I put on this self-belief that like truly I can achieve anything that I set my mind to. So in discovering my redefined purpose, I spent time figuring out my why, like what is my vision? What are my values? It was a very grueling process. It was, sitting down and distilling like why I'm doing the things I'm doing, why, I'm venturing into something new, something uncomfortable. But it was in figuring this out that I knew that like I was made for more than medicine. And even at that, I was made for more than real estate investment. And I learned that like in figuring out my why, I discovered like what my purpose was. And it's still like, as we're imperfect, as I'm imperfect, it's continuing to change. But I finally realized that like I really, really knew what my purpose was. And so my purpose, it's to use my passion and ambition to inspire professionals in and out of healthcare to create wealth through passive investing and empower women on their entrepreneurial journey. And this became kind of what I was going to champion, and I was excited about it. So I had to change how I saw myself. Like stepping into the world of entrepreneurship was very, very daunting. It was scary. There were a lot of things I didn't know. And so I latched onto an identity, which was that like, my name's Nkem, I'm an ER physician. It's what I knew, it's who I was. But then I knew that like, there needed to be more. And I also realized that like, Nkem, the ER physician, it was just who I was, but it wasn't my identity. My identity was that like, I'm Nkem, I'm a child of God, I'm a friend, I'm a sister, I'm a partner, I'm a daughter, I'm all these things. And when I started figuring out all those things, like it made stepping out so much easier. And I also had to dismantle the fear that like, when I stepped out, would they take me seriously? Was I an expert? Could I speak on the subject? Like, could I really do it? And those were the things that like, I needed to understand. Like that was the identity shift that I needed to happen. And I learned that I needed to embrace all of who I am. So today I stand here saying that like, hey, I'm Nkem, I'm an ER physician, I'm a real estate investor, and I champion female entrepreneurs to follow their dreams. And I can say that with like a passion and a conviction, and I can convey that to anyone. And that's what I did when I realized that I needed a really big identity shift. In doing that, I embraced the unknown. In medicine, failure is a no-no, which is expected because lives are at stake. But in entrepreneurship, like I felt like it was okay to take risks. It was okay to, to take a step, because if I took a risk and if I failed, it was just one step closer to success. I learned that like failure was the building blocks to success. And so the more I failed, the quicker I failed, the quicker I got to succeed. I learned that it was important to take risks. And I learned that like, it was just important to leap. I wasn't afraid anymore. Like the fear started dissipating. I'll give you an example. Last year, I had no idea what social media, like what a social media handle was. Like I didn't know anything. And this year I committed, I told myself that I would, every day, I would share my story, I would give value, I would teach, and that as I'm learning, I'm going to be teaching people on a social media platform. And so much has come out of that. Like I have met people who have invested with me. I've met people who are like, tell me your story, I want to hear it. I've met people who are like, hey, I'm really interested, tell me more, take me alongside you, and when I'm ready, I'm going to jump in. And so like it's brought so much good. And all I did was just take a chance. All I did was try. So it has become a part of who I am, is that I'm not afraid anymore to take these chances. So once I discovered like the power of mindset and the impact that it had, I had this voracious appetite for knowledge. And I realized that books were the platform, it was the gateway in which I would like expand my knowledge. And then I realized that they became a stepping stone to my transformation. So I read books on personal development, I read books on entrepreneurship, I read books on leadership, I read books on medicine, and I just felt like the more I discovered who I was, the more I like sought out to hear what I could learn from books. And like it helped me create even like my thought leadership platform. Like the more I read, the more I learned. You know, I read Believe It. It's probably one of my favorite books, and it's an autobiography by Jamie Kern Lima. And it just talked about like her vulnerable story of how she went from like zero to nothing, and how she like chased her dreams so much, and how she brought people alongside her. And as I read that, like that ignited my purpose. Like I was like, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. I read The Alchemist, and I realized that like the outside noises just needed to go. Like I knew the goal that I was pursuing, and I was gonna do it relentlessly. You know, I read 21 Indispensable Qualities of a Leader because that's something that I knew that I wanted to grow in. And I learned that like not all leadership is innate. You could really learn it. And I learned that like it comes from inside, and that can spew out. And so that was like when my mindset changed, this is one of the things that I did. So this is probably, to me, one of the most important things, which is accountability. Jim Rohn said that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so this became very important to me. Like I surrounded myself with positive, motivated, supportive, like people who had similar goals, who were going on the same journey with me. That's really who I really surrounded myself around. I realized the importance of partnership. Like you can go far alone, but you can go even farther with people. And so I learned the importance of mentorship. My business mentor, he taught me like the importance of laying a solid foundation. Like he said, start with why. And he's like, until you figure out your why, don't come back to talk to me. And so these are the people that I had who I started surrounding myself with. And they catapulted me to places that I never thought I would be in this short period of growth that has led to like the breakthrough of the person that I am today. Like my inner circle is made up of people who are like hungry for growth. Like we're like, well, what are you doing today? How are you achieving your goal? Like, how can I keep you accountable? How can you keep me accountable? Because like we lift each other up, you know, as I succeed, they succeed. As they succeed, I succeed. And that has just been like instrumental in my growth. So in all of that, in like building and surrounding myself with people, I went to different programs. I went to different conferences. I met some cool people, and I loved it. I learned. I went to Date with Destiny, and I just like really figured out like who I was, who my core is, and that was very instrumental. I went to different other conferences. I went to a conference called Peak 7, which I just thought was so interesting because it like builds out the leader in you and like walking in your purpose. So now this is an awesome picture. This is a picture of a real estate meetup in Nashville, Tennessee, and that I went to, and all these people in this picture are phenomenal. But I looked at this picture after it was taken and I thought, wouldn't it be nicer if there was another woman in the picture? Or wouldn't it be nicer if there was another person of color in the picture? And that became a part of my goal. Like part of my goal was to like reinforce the message of unity, the message of diversity, the message of collaboration. And that, as I said before, like my purpose was what it was, but then like the tenets of it continued to change. The more I realized like the roles that I wanted to play, where I was playing those roles, and it started with this. And so as much as this picture is great, I just felt like we could do better. So, and talking about female representation, as I climbed the ladder of success, what I realized is that there were less and less people that look like me. In medicine, emergency medicine, I made up 33% of EM physicians. And in leadership, it was a lot less. And in real estate investing, like the numbers were even more disheartening. Like female real estate investors were like 26 to 28%. And so I realized, like, I really, really realized the importance of representation and how important that was in telling my story. I was going to champion female causes. I was going to create opportunities for women. And the most important thing was that I was going to make room at the table for me and for other women. And like, if there was no space we're creating our own table, because I just felt like it was important. It was important that we would stand out in wherever we went. And that became part of my mission. I wanted us to celebrate our strength and celebrate resilience together. Oh, yeah, okay. So in figuring out who I am and who I'm becoming, and in this season of like redefining my purpose, I learned that like I don't want to live a limited life. You know, I realized that like I hold the power to shape my own destiny, and that like I could create a life of abundance and fulfillment. But in doing that, like I had to let go of the self-imposed limitations that I put on myself, that other people put on me, and the society put on me, and even the expectations of my family, the people who like love me the most. Like I had to let go of a lot of that. And as I did that, it opened up doors for new possibilities. Like I was going to pursue this calling with like a determination that no one was going to stop me. Like I truly realized that like a limited life was not the life that I was supposed to lead. I realized that like I was supposed to make a difference, and that I was supposed to go against the grain. And the more I realized that, the more like I embraced my contrarian spirit. Like the more I realized that like the inner drive to break free from like the conventional norms, that's what has shaped my destiny. That's what has pushed me to like keep going. And that has helped me to build like a really, really solid foundation. In living this expansive life, this is probably one of the most important things that I realized, that like my comfort zone was just too comfortable. It was safe, it was easy. I'm comfortable, I'm okay. And so I could have stayed that way. But then I realized that like I wanted to be enemies with that person, with that thing. I realized that like I wanted to get to my growth zone, which is where the magic really happened. Like I wanted to be in this extraordinary, expansive life. It had to do with challenging myself. It had to do with seeking out new opportunities for growth. And it was like really, really stepping out of who I was. Like I had to welcome the unknown. And when I did that, like that's really when I like felt like the magic would happen. Like I felt like I started to live this life that I was called to live. And you know, the funny thing is that it made me a better ER physician. Like it made me, I started realizing like the more I became uncomfortable with normal, like I could, like my patients could see that, my nurses could see that. Like they realized they're like, what's different? And it's like, hey, don't you want to find out like what makes you better? And so like I said, I just like welcomed the unknown because it wasn't as fearful anymore. This slide is kind of funny. Robert Kiyosaki said, what you think of me is none of my business. And what is most important is what I think of myself. And the reason why this is so important is because like a lot of people are projecting their own fears, their own biases, their own judgments, their own struggles on you. And they might love you and they might mean well for you. But like when you start overcoming those projections and those limitations, that's when you really, really start growing. And you realize that like we're all on different growth journeys, and there's nothing wrong with that. But like if my trajectory is like faster than yours, then I have to know what's important to me, and I have to hold on to that. And that's when you realize that, and you realize that like you start embracing the things that are really, really important to you, and you start really fully living in your purpose. So one of the things that like I really, really did, and if you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll know that one of the things I stand for is like I'm doing things afraid. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that like even this presenting tonight, like I was terrified. I found reasons to say no, but I knew I couldn't say no. Like I knew that like that was not going to happen. But it was part of like doing things afraid. Like I was, I decided that I was going to share my story. And part of it was like embracing fear, like acknowledging that, yes, my fears do exist, but they won't limit me. They won't paralyze me. Like I can embrace courage in the face of uncertainty, and I can do the things that I need to do, even if my knees are shaking and my heart's racing. And the more I realized that, like, one thing I really learned that I want to share with you guys is that I realized that some of my biggest growth came from my biggest failures. And as hard as it is to say that, like, I would do it again, because that's what got me to where I am today. That's what got me to the mindset that I am today. And as hard as that seemed, I think it's led to like a lot of personal transformation, a lot of discovery, and like growth. I don't want growth to ever be a cliche word, but like really, truly, it has led to a lot of growth. And so, like I said, I would do it again, and I'd probably do it again if it got me here and if it's taking me to where I need to go. And I learned that like I refuse to settle for mediocrity. And that's something that like I want someone here to hear. You know, if there's something that is in you, something that you're chasing, that this is, no, don't settle is what I just feel like I need to say. Like, you don't need to settle. You just need to follow that thing, follow that, follow your own personal journey to get you to where you're going. So I put this slide because I figured that since I spoke of accountability, that, people could keep me accountable. But this is Everest, and nothing that I've said has been easy. I don't want to ever sell you ease. I don't want to tell you that this journey that I've been on has been difficult, has been easy. I want to tell you that it is challenging, but you're still doing it. I told you that I love hiking, and I told you that I climbed Machu Picchu in October. Machu Picchu was 9,000 feet above sea level. My next goal is Kilimanjaro, which is, I think, 19 feet above sea level. And eventually I will get to Everest, and I'm going to hike Everest. And just seeing that and setting that goal, I feel like it's an analogy for like the life that we're living today. I feel like if I can do that, then I can show up every day and do the things that I need to do to push me to where I need to go. Like, as much as I focused on growth, like that changed me. And in relation, like that translated into growing Pheenyx, and that translated into growing RX for Wealth, and like that translated into like our female platform and all of that, like our initiative. That all started with like growth, and that all started with taking challenges. And remember when I told you that, like I tell myself like I can do hard things, like I really, really mean it. And it's something that like I've held on to. Like, there's no challenge that I'm like, it's impossible. I'm like, well, I'm going to try. And so I want to pause here and not sell ease, because I don't think it's easy, but I do think that like it's a decision that you make every day. And it's a decision that like you decide, hey, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take this step. Like, and those are the same thing that like the Excite guys took, and they're like, we're building this. So no one ever said it was easy. And sometimes it looks like, success looks so easy when you see success, but you don't know the work that really went behind it. And so I wanted to also just say, like, nothing ventured, nothing gained. If you put your heart to what you want to, if you strive, after what you want, that it's something you're gonna gain and you're gonna get it. So before a part of success, and what we think or what we're taught, is that money equates to success. But like in this journey of a redefined purpose and growth, I've learned that like success is more than money. It is a tool to get you where you need to go, but like really success is breaking boundaries. It's creating a legacy that's bigger than just me. It's creating a legacy that's like empowering other people. It's empowering future generations to do the things that you couldn't do. To me, that's success. So like planting the seed today for tomorrow is now what I call success. It's what I've grown to love. So how did I do it? So I want to sit here and say the things, like the success ingredients that I latched onto. Know what you want. Sit down, like really sit down, take the time and really figure out what your purpose is, what your vision is, what your value is, and then get a coach and a mentor. They're two different people. A coach is someone who is like, someone who is holding your hand, but a little bit ahead of you. And so someone who's like keeping you accountable on weekly, bi-weekly, whatever it is, but get a coach, someone who you can share your goals with and who can push you. And then get a mentor, someone who's a little bit farther along, who has been where you want to go. And so you can see the steps that you need to take to get to where you want to go. And then accountability, those are people who are like along the same playing field as you, who are like, I'm in the trenches together. This is what has helped me succeed. And I want to say this, that like I show up every time. Whatever it is that I need to do, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to take action. That's the biggest thing. Like I can sit here and tell you that I read books and I hoped and I wished and I affirmed and I changed, but then I took action. I made the call. I showed up on LinkedIn. I asked, I called investors, I spoke to women. I created the webinar. I did all of these things, and it was because that was part of taking action. That's what taking action looked like. And so those are kind of some of the things that I felt like has helped me succeed in this new purpose that I'm walking in. So what lessons did I learn? I've learned that like you need to let go. I needed to let go of limiting beliefs, and I'm still doing that because it's been ingrained in me for 30 something years. And it's like really like just starting to let go of some of that. Like I am conquering my fears. There's whatever it is, I'm doing it afraid. And then I've learned that like it's not as bad as it seemed as soon as I did it. I've let go of the grip of others. Like I'm forging this path, and you can come alongside me or you can stay behind. But one thing you're not doing is holding me back. I've learned to embrace failure. I won't go far if I don't fail. And if I fail, then I can learn from it. And so when you look at like all these successful people in the world, like they have failed massively. I talked to Bob Frazier, the guy who did Peak 7. He's a real estate investor and very successful man. And he'll tell you that he lost billions time after time. And that's not going to be my story, but like, that is like the idea that like, when you like failure gets you closer to success. And the one thing that I've learned to do is like, I've learned to believe in myself more than anyone else. Like I've learned that like, I can do it. And when I say that, like, I really, really mean that. And that's something that I would empower everyone here to take on. But like, there's nothing that you set your mind to that you can do. There's nothing that you can't like push forward. There's nothing that you can't fight. There's no drive that you can't get to in order to get the success that you want. But it starts with believing in yourself. And that's something that I've learned. So the journey, I learned the true meaning of resilience. I learned that it is like an emotional fortitude that you need to succeed, that like it's bouncing back from anything. Like there's nothing that will put me down that I can't rise up from. And it's, it's galvanizing that inner strength to persevere no matter what. Like when the journey's hard, when like I'm running that 6th mile and I can't go number 7, it's like that's resilience. Or when I've worked a full shift, but I still need to call 5 investors, I'm like, okay, that's like, it's that inner strength that I'm building. And I've learned to embrace vulnerability. I started with telling you guys that like I'm imperfect, but that has created some really authentic relationships for me. And the more that you show up as your true self, like people love that. People don't want perfection. They just want to see that like, hey, we can grow together. We can figure this thing out together. And that's something that like I've learned along this journey. I want to say this. The journey for me is not an endpoint. It's not the finish line. It was never about creating Pheenyx. It was never about getting 1,000 healthcare professionals to invest passively. It was never about like standing on stage and speaking to 1,000 or more women, to empower them to chase their dreams. It was the person that I was becoming along the way. It was the woman that I was becoming to get me to that goal and surpass that. That's what the journey has been to me. That's what this breakthrough has been. Like I've cherished, as hard as it's been, I've cherished every step of the way, because I can already see that like I'm breaking those barriers. And when I get to that red ball, like I'm just gonna go right past that. But so it wasn't one specific endpoint. It wasn't a finish line for me. It was just persevering and going through and becoming the woman who can attack those goals. So where am I today? I shared a little bit. So between, I guess, setting my bio and today, I'm a limited partner in a little over 300 apartment units. And what I think is even more cool is that like Excite Capital was my first deal. I forgot to say that, but it was the start, and I'll always be forever grateful for that. But I'm about to close on my first deal as a general partner, and it has been really exciting. Like there was no feeling that like people trusting in me with their hard-earned money and saying, hey, I see what you're doing. I see what you're about. I see the growth that you've come. And they're like, hey, I want to walk this journey with you. So that's where I am today. And sharing vulnerability, my goal is that like I will be a lead sponsor on a deal before the end of the year. So that's what I'm working towards. So I'm going to say it out loud because I know that like if I'm telling you to chase your dreams, then I'm going to tell you what mine are. So what's next for me? So I want to continue to ignite financial freedom by equipping like healthcare professionals to follow their dreams, to invest passively, give them the knowledge and the tools that they need. I want to get on stage and inspire people. Like, I want to share my mission and my goal. I want to pioneer business leadership for women, because I think that's important. Like, I want to elevate female entrepreneurs, and like, so that we can break glass ceilings. And I want global impact. I want to partner with other people to drive initiatives to improve healthcare in Nigeria and beyond, to improve access to resources and education. Like, I think that's part of the value creation that I'm like really excited about. Like, this is when I think of like, where is Pheenyx going to? Where's Nkem going? This is the slide that kind of encompasses all of that. And I will leave you with this last slide. Change happens when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of changing. This was actually my post this morning. But the reason why this is very important is because like, it's in the face of adversity and discomfort that we find our strength. And so if you're change will happen when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. So I just got distracted because my mom just logged in. So it just threw me off. But I want to end here, that I want to empower and implore everyone here that like, we were born for greatness, and like, we were born to like impact our community. We were born to impact our cities, impact our circle. And like, I've never felt more alive than I do today. And that's because the change, like where I was so painful. Where I was so uncomfortable that like, I didn't care what the future held, but I knew that like, I was going after it. And today I stand here saying that like, I'm living a life that has no limits. And that is exciting to me. Like, I'm going to continue to strive for new heights. Like, I'm going to pursue impact, like for myself, for my investors, for my community at large, because I think that that's really important. And it started with like, just being uncomfortable about where I was. So this is the path that I'm taking. This is the path that I've taken to get me here, to get me to Pheenyx. And this is the path that I'm taking beyond. So I just want to stop here, and I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to everyone who joined in. Thank you to everyone who's listening, who took the time out of their busy evenings to just come and spend time with me and hear my story. I hope I said one thing today that like galvanized change, that someone is like, I'm ready to like not be comfortable anymore. I'm ready to like take on whatever it is, and no matter how small it is, but if you're like, hey, today is the day that I'm gonna do it. I think that's the most important. So I just want to take questions. If anyone has any questions, I would love to answer that. And then, real quickly, if you want to get a hold of me, this is all my info. I'd love to like empower, encourage anyone, like wherever your journey is, wherever it's taking you, like if I can play a role, if I can play a part, like I would be super grateful. So Excite Capital, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for the time. And thank you for seeing something in me that you felt that like I could empower your community.
That is amazing, amazing. What a great one. If I could do a little tumble just to show how excited I am right now, I would do it. But I don't have enough space in this little corner that I am in. But that is incredible. Thanks for sharing that with us, Dr. Nkem. Really appreciate you. And please drop your questions in the chat. I know a lot of questions are coming up in your minds and hearts, and this is a place where we can really just bring those questions up. We all don't have all the answers, but we could probably try to figure out the answers together. So I think Langston was saying, what was the hardest obstacle you ever had to overcome so far?
So I'll say and I spoke a little bit about it. It was, I didn't put as much emphasis as I should have, but it was my identity. I was terrified of stepping out. Like I was scared. Like I knew one thing, but like, could I be good at something else? Could I be like, I spent my whole life, like you guys, I went straight through undergrad, med school, residency, work, and I didn't know that I was capable of something else. And so that mindset where I needed to realize that like I could do more, that to me was a big obstacle. Like it sounds easy, but it's something that I still deal with it today. It's like I still have to I still have to tell myself, and Kim, you've put in the work, you've done the thing. Like it's okay for you to say this is who I am. So it sounds small, but it's a mind thing. It's when I said changing your thought process, like this is what I meant. So it seems like a tiny obstacle, but it's so limiting. It's like there's a wall here that like you have to break through to get past that.
That is incredible. Awesome. The next question was, I guess Jason Bourne was saying that, what deals are you doing soon? I'd love to invest. Fantastic.
So Jason, I'll tell you, we're looking in the Southeast. So like, we're looking for some partners who are really interested in like Charlotte, Tennessee, Georgia. That's kind of where we're really focusing all our work on. So as soon as I know, I'll let you know.
Fantastic. And I hope everybody got her contact information right on that screen earlier. And Ken, if you want to throw it up again, please feel free to, just so that people can catch that. And somebody else was asking, okay, Monica was asking, when did you realize your shift into your new vision?
So Monica, so I will tell you, when I started emergency medicine, like I like, you should see me in the ER. Like I'm like going. Like no one would ever think that like there was more to me. But every time I did it, like I remember one time, I'll tell you, I was driving home from work and it was like 2 a.m. in the morning and something hit me. And I said, there might be a time that I won't be driving home anymore. There might be a time that I wouldn't be driving from work home. And that's when I realized that like there was something stirring in me. And then COVID hit and I knew for sure that like there was more. I had a little bit of time to like really delve into what my other passions are, what my other interests were, like what, and that's really when I started reading books. And that's like part of it is when I went to a conference and I met Excite Capital. And so like all of that was, I feel like if you have an itch, like if you have that something in you that's like stirring you up and you're like, I think this is something, I would encourage you to like chase that. Like I would encourage you like tap into that, because that might be it. And it might start from somewhere. And then you meet someone or some person who like ignites that and you're like, okay, this makes sense. Like I didn't really know what that was, but then I got someone else who like helped me refine that. And the vision, it wasn't a one-day thing. It was like really striving, really like I really put in the time to figure out, I love this, but I could also love this. Like, you know, like that was it for me. Like I don't think there was a defining moment, but if I was honest with myself, there was always like this ache that I was like, ooh, what else is out there? And that, you know, I still always go back to like Excite Capital, like giving access is so important because you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what you like, you don't know what you love. And so having the opportunity to like be in places like this or whatever it is that you want to chase, you know, want to go after, like being surrounded by that, I think that that's important.
Amazing. Rudolph was asking, what's the initial capital investment? And then there's another question that I love that's going to follow right after that.
So for us, for Pheenyx, our initial capital investment is 50,000. And that's like the start for all our investments. And I think that's pretty much the base for most investments. But guys, tell me if you guys do something different.
No, you're absolutely right. I think the minimum investment for most private equity multifamily groups is about $50,000. But obviously, there are some that are smaller than that. But for the most part, it's $50,000. And the average investment for the most part is usually higher than that. Anthony was asking, what is one thing that your mom instilled in you, which you still carry with you today?
Ooh, let me tell you, because I'll tell you this, and she's here. Like when I'll tell you this, like when things were really hard, my mom would say, like, those people who are succeeding, like they don't have two heads. Like there's nothing that's different from them. There's nothing better than them. So like, if they can do it, you can do it too. And so that's like the one thing, that's what like pushed me to be like, I can achieve that. Like if someone else is doing it, and it's not a competition, but it's just like, if they can do it, I can do it too. And those were like seriously, from a young age, like that was instilled in me, like you can achieve whatever it is that you set your mind to.
That's
So
ignite
that's-
your mom. I love it. I love it. That's beautiful. And then somebody was asking, actually Julius, my namesake, was asking, did you have student loans? If you did, did that discourage you from investing?
No. So, okay, so there are a few, oh, this is really good. So like the Nkem I was then was like, I came out of school and I was like, I'm gonna live poor and I will pay off every cent. Like that was who I was. And if I think about it now, like my interest rates were like 2%, 1.9%. And like, I could have held on to those loans and invested and made so much more money. But I didn't know that then. I just knew that like I had to come out of school and like pay those loans. So like Julius, I would do things differently today. I can say that like I paid them off and like I didn't invest. And there's no looking back. Like I'm grateful for where I am today, but like if I could look back, I would, like if your loans were as cheap as mine, like I had very cheap loans, I would have just put that money elsewhere. That's making me 7%. It's making me so much more. And I can use some of that money and pay off the student loan. But this all came with me learning. And this, like, I didn't know that then. And that's part of like what I'm doing, which is like giving people education that they need, like, especially us as like healthcare professionals, like we didn't learn any of this. Like I can tell you organic chemistry, I can't tell you anything about investing. So, or like alternative assets, but the more I learn, the more I realize. So Julius, that's what I would have done differently.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you spoke, I think Olachi was asking, you spoke about being in rooms and having a seat at the table with people who didn't necessarily look like you. Can you speak more about how you went about developing authentic relationships or finding common ground with people who may not have had the same cultural or professional background as you?
Okay, this one's really good. And so I'll be honest, and I said it like, as you get higher and higher in whatever it is, like you're the only one in the room. And before it was like a badge of honor, and then it wasn't, and it became lonely. And you see, and so I have made it a priority to find other people. I've joined organizations that are like, African American or female led. I've looked for things on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and I want that to be like part of my story. I want that to be part of like my makeup, because that's who I am. So I'm going out of my way to join organizations with people that look like me. And that's like the beauty of Excite Capital. Like, all of them, although they're men, they still look like me. And like, I'm creating something, that like I'm a woman and I'm doing something different. So people will see that and join me. So it was, when I didn't find what I wanted, I started creating something new. But that's how I did it. Like I joined groups that I felt like there were people there who looked like me. And it didn't stop me from interacting with everyone, but I knew that like there was something else that I could get from that. Also, there was something else that I could give to that. And that's how I decided like I need to be in rooms, that necessarily people look more like me. I hope that answered your question.
Awesome, awesome. I think that may have done it. Leslie also did make a comment saying how interesting. I graduated with low interest student loans too, and put all my money into paying them off as soon as I can. I wouldn't have even thought to invest. I think a lot of people made that same mistakes, but it's okay. We live and learn. Anyways, in the interest of time, it's 7 p.m. If there's any other person who's got any additional questions for our amazing and inspirational speaker tonight, please share with us, and she'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, we'll move into the meetup section of this.
For those who ask real quickly, I'm just going to toss my contact information in the
chat.
So that
fantastic. Please do. And thank you so much, Dr. Nkem. We know this is not going to be the last time we'll see you on this platform. Hopefully next time we're seeing you on here, you'll be talking about a couple of deals that you've led sponsored on, and hopefully we'll be collaborating again real soon. So this is incredible. This just warms my heart, because I do have a little bit of a tiny little bit of a story about how diligent Nkem was. when I first met her. The first day I met Nkem, she was sitting right across the table, and she'd been talking to one of my partners who was, telling her a little bit about the things that we did, because we were there as speakers or whatnot, and we were sponsoring the event. We were one of the co-sponsors. So I think the what we were saying about investing in real estate, this was so incredulous to her that she didn't necessarily believe it. So she waited for me to come, and when my partner was gone, and asked me the same exact question she had just asked him. And when she got the same exact answer, she was like, huh, you guys are, you guys actually are consistent. So that's the diligent woman you're talking to right there. She would do a due diligence, and just like she said, she's still, even after all of that, still kind of like listened in a whole bunch of times before eventually making the jump. So, but I mean, look at you now. You were doing incredible things, and we are so inspired by you. And I'm really, really serious about that. I think you're going to do amazing things, and I just cannot wait to continue to see you grow, and continue to support in whatever way that we can, and continue to grow together. So anyways, we're moving right into our meetup section of the meetup. And this is where anyone can introduce themselves. The people on video get the first priority if you want to. You get to introduce yourself, kind of talk a little bit about your journey. You don't have to necessarily be in real estate per se or anything like that, but you could literally just comment about what you just heard, and what is stirring up in you, and the experiences that you're hoping to take from this, and the lessons you're hoping to take from this, and the goals that you're hopefully going to start to tackle starting from the next hour. So who wants to go first? Feel free to raise your hand, so I start calling names. I know Monica want to say something so badly.
Dang, you didn't have to put me on the spot
I'm
like
sorry.
that.
I'm sorry.
Hi,
But you've been so
everyone.
engaged.
Oh,
And
yes.
Debo,
No,
you next. You next, Debo. Yeah. So
absolutely love the conversation. Hi, everyone. My name is Monica Davis. I am Identify Consulting's Executive Concierge Manager. So I deal with our bespoke clients. I help manage their accounts for staffing. I am totally not into real estate. I'm not in investing. My family is, however, but I'm at an age where I can start learning some things, and I think it'll benefit me in the long run. So here I am looking to connect with people, build my network, and learn so much from you guys. So I thank you for opening your doors to me. And yeah, you guys can find me on LinkedIn. I can drop my email down below, whatever. I'd love to
please
connect with
do.
you
Please
guys.
do.
Yeah, so,
Drop your email, LinkedIn, whatever information you want to share with us. Thanks so much for blessing us with your presence, Monica. I think Debo is next. Are you muted, Mr. Adejano?
Yeah. Sorry, I got that.
No
Thank
worries.
you very much for this opportunity. It's a privilege and a pleasure, really. It was Ife that introduced me. Ife Tuashe actually told me about this. I'm a real estate entrepreneur for over 18 years now in Nigeria, based in Nigeria. We do a couple of things in the real estate space, development. We are big on training, and then we do aggregated investment through collaborative platform in Nigeria. And interestingly, multifamily was something I started looking at let's say about 2 years ago. And I was down in the US, Maryland, precisely last year. I attended a free session of, I've forgotten the name now, Tyler or something, yeah. I attended a free session of his and was hoping that sometime later this year I would take on the training and really get to, because I love the aspect of aggregated stuff. So I just want to commend what Excel Capital is doing, and also commend the Amazon Nkem. That's a lovely experience she has shared, and I definitely believe that she's on to greater things. Commend the collaboration, really. I mean, for me, it is not competition, it is collaboration, and this is what we love to see. I'll be looking forward to a time when we can also, you guys help people back home with your medical expertise. I think that like what I teach is that for those of us here, based here, we will leverage more when we are able to invest out there so that we can get to benefit from the better currency, for example. So we are not just going to be getting appreciation and all, we're going to be getting FX also, you know. So, and that would really mean a lot. And that's why I've been looking for. So I'm looking forward to, doing stuff with you guys, and we can see what we can do together. But it's been a pleasure being here today. And thanks to Ife, I think he's also on the call. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much for those comments, Dave. I really appreciate you. Yeah, please drop your information. There's a lot for us to talk about. We there are some work that some of us are doing also in the Nigerian space, and there may be more for us to talk about, and a lot of exchange that we could achieve with this, certainly, for sure. I think next person is Dwayne Turner, and then Bridget, you next.
Hey, happy Monday, everyone.
Happy Monday. Happy Monday.
Hey, I just wanted to say thank you to Excite Capital. Thank you, Nkem, for sharing.
You gotta put that before the
for sharing your story. It was very, very inspiring. I shared a lot of the sentiment that you have, and particularly in feeling like you've accomplished so many things, but there was still something burning. There was a yearning, and I totally relate to that. So my background has been for many years information technology, but I have been a licensed realtor for the past 7 years. I also operate inside of the commercial space as well as residential. And one of the things that I'm based in Charlotte. I heard you mention Charlotte earlier, so I would love to connect with you about some opportunities. But one of the things that I'm doing here as part of our local realtor association is I chair the Fair and Affordable Housing Advisory Group. So I'm always looking for opportunities to connect and collaborate to, find a need and fill it, as A.G. Gaston would say. And everyone needs housing. It's one of the three, food, water, shelter. I'm looking to touch on all of those to help better serve our community and the global community. So kudos to you for your work. I just wanted to kind of give you that shout out and express, give my energy to the room, let you guys know that I'm open to collaborating with any and every one of you. If there's any of you who would like to move into the Charlotte market and collaborate, not even just in multifamily, but single family, what have you. I got a lot of different moving parts going on here. So but yeah, thank you so much. Again, energy is the only thing that's really transferable, can't be destroyed, and your energy was felt, sis. So thank you, and hope to collaborate with you soon.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Dwayne. Thank you so much for those wonderful comments. Our own tenacious Tenny, one of the co-founders at Excite Capital, also lives in Charlotte. So feel free to connect with them. He is you want to talk about energy being transferred? Yeah, you just need to spend a couple of minutes with them, and it will transfer some incredible energies to you. The guy is a powerhouse for sure. So yeah, so hopefully you guys can connect for sure. Thanks for those comments. Please feel free to drop your contacts in the chat for anyone who wants to connect with you too, Dwayne. Thank you. Dable, please do that too. Bridget Smith.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank you so much, Dr. Nkem, for your story. It was very heartfelt. A lot of what you said resonated with me. The same feelings that you had, I had that many years ago. I'm a former registered nurse, so I worked in the healthcare field, the overnight shift, and I felt there was so much more to life. At times I felt with the changes in healthcare that I was like actually committing spiritual suicide by continuing in that path and not going after what I really, really wanted. I started investing in real estate maybe about 10 years ago, and I was able to leave my job. So I'm in real estate full time now. Your story gave me the courage to come on camera and speak, because normally I would stay quiet. I won't talk. So, and I've really just been like playing a smaller game, just like in the single family duplexes and quadplexes. but I'm looking to play a bigger game and get into multifamily. And your story has really, really encouraged me. And I thank you so much. It's been like just so heartfelt. And a lot of what you said, I can resonate with it, how you're feeling. So I want to just thank you so much.
That is incredible, Bridget. That's incredible. And I mean, I did promise you guys that it was gonna be an incredible one. And I think Dr. Nkem delivered, not me. So
Yes.
thank you so much, Dr. Nkem. And we can't say thank you enough for that amazing talk and inspirational conversation. And Bridget, please feel free to drop your contact information for anyone who wants to connect with you. Also, you never know who is in the room and who wants to collaborate with you so that you can get to the next level too. Anthony.
Good evening. Good evening, guys. Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Anthony Atiase. I am originally from Ghana. For those that have never heard of Ghana, you can Google country that makes best jollof, and Ghana will pull up.
He wants violence.
Just as a heads up for those of you that don't. The guys from Excite Capital, you guys are amazing. I actually started following you all probably about 3 months ago through a mutual friend that Leslie had. And I've just got to say, you guys are really the real deal. Connected with Tenny, he had one of his meetups probably about a few weeks ago. So if you haven't attended it, definitely do. And he's definitely a ball of energy. And I definitely appreciate the information that he provided. Dr. Nkem, I mean, you were amazing, absolutely phenomenal. You're one of those individuals where your first few slides just grasped us from your vulnerability of telling your story and really letting us know where you're coming from. And I was like, I am ready. For what I do, I'm in project management. A couple years ago, my brother and I, we started building custom homes just outside of Charlotte in Clover, South Carolina. So that's probably about 30 minutes from Charlotte. We've been doing that for a few years. We enjoy it, but I'm excited to continue to challenge myself, as the good doctor said, and I'm excited about this journey ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that heartfelt feedback, Anthony. Really appreciate you. We look forward to continuing to serve you and to communicate and grow with you as you expand and push into your place of discomfort, because that's where the most growth happens, just like Dr. Nkem told us. I think Leslie wanted to say something.
I just wanted to point out the number of times that Anthony said excited. And that is so powerful, because that is the same feeling we had when we learned this information, and how powerful it is, how exciting it is, the value that it could bring to the community. And that is how the name Excite Capital came about. So that's just all I wanted to point out, because that kind of stood out to me.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think Fofeng had tried to come on camera earlier, so I want to give him an opportunity to make a few comments if he's still around. Yeah. Hey, what's up?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Well, hey, this is a wonderful presentation. I follow Leslie, and we go way back. And I've always been seeing the post, but never really made an opportunity to attend. So I'm really grateful to be here. I'm based in Texas in supply chain management. And I'm also in real estate, but mostly in Cameroon, doing some projects in the hotel sector. And so I'm here really for the learning, as to say, building the foundation, getting the knowledge, connecting with like-minded people that look at like yourself and others, to learn, to follow the path that has been blazed by Excite Capital team. So glad to be here. I will definitely connect individually with Dr. Nkem and others. And hey, great job. And I appreciated every moment being here.
This is fantastic. This is awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wants to say something I want to be very mindful of everyone's time. We have a good 13 minutes. This is also probably a good time to highlight some of the hardworking people at Excite Capital who actually makes all of this happen. You know, if it's not for the great work of the entire Excite Capital team, you know, the Macy Prices of the world, our director of marketing, you know, the Kayla, the Jessica, please, I just wave as I name Kayla. Yep, Jessica. Absolutely. Kevin Brown, really appreciate you so much. And where's Miles? Smiles. Oh yeah, there you go. And is Manny on at all? Manny, awesome. I don't think it was on, but yeah. But anyway,
Julius, what's going on?
hey brother, what's going on, man? That is the genius. That's our secret weapon right there. Is a master underwriter. And if you have not been to the Excite Capital Tuesday evening underwriting class, you're missing out, especially if you're interested in multifamily real estate. Definitely connect Miles or Kayla, if you could just drop the information about, you know, just joining the Excite Capital platform so that you can start learning more about not just real estate investing, but investing in general, not just investing in general, but changing your mindset and starting to, like, you know, kind of pursue a different world, the world that you want to see. I mean, what Dr. Nkem said earlier resonated with me so much because obviously we come from relatively similar worlds, and in the sense that we're both Nigerian, we're both doctors, and we both doctors that eventually kind of started to explore real estate, you know. And one of the things that you encounter when you in that world is that you start to question yourself: are people still going to take me seriously? You know, because your identity has been so cemented in being one thing and being one thing only. And then it wasn't until I started to read the books, listen to the podcast, you know, listen to my partners like Leslie and Tenny, who were a little bit ahead of me in this journey. They held me, and, you know, like the true brothers that they are, and really kind of pushed me into my, you know, my growth zone, you know, that zone of discomfort. And eventually I was able to like bust out of my limiting belief and start believing that, yes, I am Dr. Julius Oni. I'm an orthopedic surgeon, but yes, I am also a real estate investor. And guess what? Now it's like,
You're the chairman.
oh, whatever. Yes. But yeah, but I appreciate that, brother. But yeah, but really, now it's second nature. I mean, now I go to real estate investors, and everybody there want to talk about medicine. And when I'm talking at medical conferences, everybody want to talk about real estate investing. And it's incredible, and we all could create this in our different worlds. Everybody that spoke earlier essentially were from different, like different career paths, but every single one of us could start to create wealth while we're sleeping. We could start creating generational wealth. The folks that are doing it they're not smarter than us. The folks that are doing it, they don't have two heads, like Nkem's mom would say, you know, and as my mom would say too. I mean, but they just were people with either access to either the capital or the education or the relationships, or just being in the right space in the right time, surrounded by the right people. But that's what we are creating here. We're creating that safe space to come in, ask whatever questions you want. No question is stupid. So I welcome you to join us in subsequent meetups every month, first Monday of the month. Just watch out for it, and certainly explore, join Dr. Nkem at any of the events that she's also doing on our platform. I mean, I go to those because I also learn from what she's able to share with folks. So I cannot say thank you enough to you all. It's 7:22. Are there any other questions or comments I think Leslie had okay, Leslie and Tenny and anyone else after that.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you're interested in any of Excite Capital future opportunities as a passive investor, go ahead and text wealth to 301-265-2056. Again, text wealth to 301-265-2056, and a member from our investor concierge team will reach out to you and understand your goals and then start guiding you down that path. So that's all I was gonna say, Tenny.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to, with much gratitude, thank Nkem for coming on. It's just listening to you is just very, very touching. I really appreciate you coming in and touching a lot of lives, because at the end of the day, that's what you started with. That one person that you wanna touch. And I'm hoping at the end of this, a lot of people were able to take a lot from this. So just thank you so much. Amazing to see the growth. Super excited. Makes me want to jump off of my chair and go out there and do more stuff. So so amazing to see you, well articulated, which you have always been. And now you're glowing in the multifamily space. So good job. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, that talk was so powerful. I said, let's go put an offer on the White House after tonight, because Nkem can move you off your seat. That was really good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, that's the kind of talk that would make you start, but it definitely puts a lot of fire under you. So yeah, any other comments? I think Bridget, was that your hand that was up from before? I think so, but just want to make sure that I'm not missing another hand up. Well, it seems like we got most of the comments. Was there any other person on video that I didn't catch? Nope, not really. If there's anybody here that wants to, share something about their company or whatever that you or whatever you're working on currently, then you just don't have the confidence to do it, on video, please feel free to also just put it in the chat. That's one step. But we want you to start to get comfortable with putting yourself out there. And this is certainly a safe space to do that. If there are no more questions or comments, I just want to say that, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you to everybody. You could be anywhere else in the world, but you're here with us tonight here at the exciting world of multifamily meetup presented by Excite Capital. We don't take that for granted, and we just appreciate your presence. We appreciate your energy. We appreciate your participation, and we look forward to seeing you again at our next meetup, where we're going to have another fantastic talk by another fantastic speaker who's going to speak to your heart and hopefully fire you up. Dr. Nkem, you get the last word since this was your meetup.
Seriously, guys, I said it before, I'll say it again. I'm so grateful for the opportunity that you've given me. I'm so grateful for, like the light that you guys shown, and like to allow me to walk behind and just like learn everything and glean all the knowledge. And I wouldn't be where I am today without you guys. And so I'm thankful. So if there's anyone here, I've spoken to you guys, but if there's anyone here who's like, hey, I'm interested, keep coming, keep learning, keep growing. Cause it's like, when you see what other people are doing, it galvanizes you to like want to do more and want to be better. So like, I just thank you for showing up. Like the support was way more than I ever could think. And so I'm grateful. And I'm really grateful that like, we're doing this together and like, we can go and like spread our wings and fly and do all the things that we want to do. So I'm really grateful. I'm glad that I said yes to this because it has sharpened, my skills, and I'll continue to get better. And I'm glad that like I got to hang out with like a ton of you guys tonight. So I'm really grateful. I just want to say once again, thank you so much. And thank you for all the encouraging words that came back to me of like, continue to share your story, continue to do this. Like that's going to, I needed to hear that. Like, I knew, but it's also really good to just hear people say, hey, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and we want to come alongside with you. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. And Anthony took the step of faith and actually posted in the chat about his podcast that he started a few months ago. I just wanted to highlight it since you decided to post it. Yeah, Anthony at TSA Experience. Please check it out. everybody. It's on Spotify and Apple. And with that, I think we out, people. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Again.